Today, I'm going to teach you an incredibly simple but unbelievably powerful and effective self-improvement tactic that I've recently started to implement into my daily life. And I promise you, bro, it's changing my life. And the reason I'm on my phone right now is not because I'm purposefully trying to be rude, I promise you, despite what you assholes think. I'm actually trying to do my research properly this time, because there's been a few videos where I had a quote or some flippant story I wanted to share, and then I got the author's name wrong or the quote guy's name wrong. And
you are fake news.
I'm going to do the research in front of you assholes so that you see I'm doing my work this time. I'm doing my homework.
Several hours later.
Bro, I cannot find this quote. What the hell? Do my research one time, bro, and I can't find the quote. All right, so I can't find the quotes I'm looking for. So instead, I'm going to create the quote today. So when you quote this, you better make sure my name's there. Essentially, the quote that I'm trying to teach you today goes along the lines of something like this. Real change is often more about remembering than learning. If you're watching this video, then there's a very high chance that you are, like me, a self-help junkie, right? Somewhere along the line in your life, you were tired of the way things were going and you thought, you know what, stuff it, bro. I want to get my life together. I want to get fit. I want to get healthy. I want to start becoming the smarter, stronger, just better version of myself. And what did you do? You got into self-improvement. And I applaud you on that. The big problem for so many young men and young women who start on their self-improvement journey is that they start to go down the rabbit of self-help improvement advice. Kind of like on this YouTube channel, right? What are you doing watching this channel, bro? You should be working on yourself. And all of a sudden, that simple desire to improve yourself, to make your life better than it was yesterday, that desire starts to subtly turn into an obsession, like it did for me. But there are two major problems that come with having an overwhelming abundance of self-improvement information. The first problem that you might have experienced is that, like I said, you become overwhelmed. There's so many things out there. There's so much advice, so much tips and tactics that are designed to help you improve your life. But the problem is that these tactics are in the millions, right? You could talk about bedtime routine, improving your sleep health, your flipping relationships, your success at work, right? The list goes on. And for each one of those categories, there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of tips and tricks and advice that you can consume in order to try and make that aspect of your life improved. Suddenly, this all just becomes too much too soon, right? You're like, whoa, there is just so much going on here. Like, this is freaking me out. I'm overwhelmed. Like, how am I ever going to implement all of these strategies into my life? And what do? You give up, bro. You say, you know what, this is too much for me. I'm just going to go back to eating chips and playing Fortnite and relaxing and jacking off 5 times a day because it's easier and it doesn't require so much emotional and mental fortitude, right? And so you give up. The second big challenge that we all face, and is one that you probably don't want to admit to yourself, but if you're willing to be honest with me here, you know is kind of true, right? And of course, the second challenge that I'm referring to is the challenge of taking the necessary action to practice the self-help improvement advice that you consume. Because what do the majority of us do when we get into self-improvement? We read 1,001 books on how to socialize. Let's use that as an example, right? You want to learn how to pick up girls, you want to learn how to talk to people, make more friends, become more confident. And so you get the classic books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. You get books on conversational skills, small talk skills, the works, right? You read like an absolute scholar and you think to yourself, damn, I am improving so much, it's unbelievable. But you know deep down that the real truth of the matter is that you are doing bugger all, because all you are doing is consuming information. You are no better than the addict who sits on Netflix every single night and binges a series for 5 hours, or the person who incessantly scrolls for hours and hours on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram every day. It's essentially self-help masturbation, right? That's what you're doing. And it's something that I still struggle with. I love self-improvement content. Why do you think I have this YouTube channel? I love to consume and learn about this stuff, and I love to share that with you guys so that you can improve your lives. But I've so often fallen into the trap of self-help masturbation, enjoying the process of learning about self-help more than actually taking the disciplined steps into implementing that help into your life so that you can actually live the life that you want to live. You are not taking the necessary steps, the necessary action to properly learn that information and to properly integrate that information into becoming real habits that you enact every single day. To sum this all up, the main problem that you are probably currently facing is the problem of focus. It's the problem of taking a bit of information, saying, okay, I'm going to work on this right now. I'm going to master this art of self-improvement. I'm going to get it done. And then I'm going to move on to other lessons and other self-improvement advice that will change my life. You need to focus one step at a time. Hence, going back to the quote that I smartly made at the beginning of this video, and I forgot the quote, bro. I gotta write this shit down. Give me a sec. I gotta write this down, bro. Remembering is so often more important, or let's say repetition is so often more important than learning when it comes to making real lasting change. After that very long-winded explanation, let me teach you the very simple, very obvious tip that might just change your entire life and might just allow you to put your self-help practice into practice. So here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to the one-page miracle. You can't even see that shit, sorry. All right, I'm gonna have to just read it out to you. But essentially, I call this my fulfill your potential page. Or like I said, you can call it anything. You can call it your focus page, your one-page miracle. Essentially, what this thing is one page that's either digital, or you could have it on a book page, or you could make a little pretty poster if that's your vibe, right? Put it in your room. But essentially, you want to take one page, just one page, right? And as you go about your week, I want you to ask yourself one simple question. If there was one piece of advice that could change my life, if there's one bit of information or some specific learning lesson or action that I could take on a daily basis that I know if I just remembered it every single day would change my life for the better forever, what would that advice be? And as you go about these couple days or a week of thinking about what advice would change your life, you'll start to notice something pretty interesting. And that is the fact that there are multiple pieces of advice that you could potentially give to yourself. But that's okay, because I'm not expecting you to kind of come to the one conclusion about change, because honestly, there is no one solution. And you need to know that there is never going to be one solution, one size fits all to self-improvement. This is a very personal kind of process, but it's also a very collective process. As Jocko Willink famously says, change is not about a one solution or one action. Change is a campaign, right? It's a continuous process of self-improvement. So once you have about a page worth of information, you are then going to sit your ass down and you're going to say, okay, if I could summarize this all together, if I could make this more compact, or if I could turn this advice into, let's say, 3 of the most important pieces of advice that I can focus on, right? You can even eliminate some of the advice and focus purely on the top overarching advice that you'd give to yourself. Once you have finally crafted this information, once you finally come to, like I said, let's say 2 sentences, 3, maybe even 4, but I warn you against going above 4 to 5 lines of information, purely because, like I said, you want to be able to focus on specific lessons. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with 1,000,001 things to worry about. So really try to limit this to, like, let's say 3 pieces of advice, max 5. And then once you have this beautifully written, well-crafted page of self-improvement advice that you'd give to yourself, you're simply going to wake up every day and you're going to read it. You're going to read it and you're going to think, okay, how can I implement this advice into my life today? How can I stay true to the advice that I've given myself? And if you focus on this every single day, you essentially negate the 2 problems that we discussed earlier. You stop overwhelming yourself with so much self-improvement so that you actually have something to focus on. And then the stuff that you want to focus on, the most important stuff, actually starts to stick. Then you'll start to see actual change happening in your life. So let me give you some examples of the advice that I personally find to be the most powerful for me. Above all else, act on your timetable and complete your daily habits, right? I realized that for myself, I was lacking a routine. And honestly, we'll do a whole new video on this, but routine is everything. So for me, my life was all over the place. I was giving myself too much freedom to do things at whatever time I wanted. And as a result, nothing got done, right? So I started to say, okay, if I just follow a timetable every single day, step by step by step, I know that that would be the overarching thing that would allow me to achieve the majority of my goals. Because, you know, if I give myself a framework for change, there's no way that change can't happen. One day you are going to die. Live your life to the fullest now. How would you live today knowing that one day you will be that old man, old woman looking back at yourself, dying in a hospital? A man, or a true man, does what he should do, not what he feels like doing. Discipline equals freedom, or real happiness needs to be prioritized over easy comfort. Anything that I want in my life, any goal I want to achieve, I need to implement discipline, because at the end of the day, some days you're going to wake up and you're going to think, I don't feel like this, right? I don't give a shit about going to the gym. I don't give a shit about eating healthy, recording YouTube videos today. Then by reading that page and saying, okay, cool, to get the things I truly want in my life, not the easy comfort, but the real lasting satisfaction, I need to invoke discipline on my life. Reminding yourself of what needs to be done, over learning constant new information, bombarding yourself with self-improvement advice, that's what's going to change your life. And I honestly encourage you to do the same thing with these videos. If you find my videos entertaining or fun or informative, Thank you. I really appreciate you. And I'm so grateful that you like these videos and that you feel as though I add value to your life. But if I can give you any bit of advice to walk away with today, don't binge watch my content either. Take this video, decide what works, what doesn't, and then move on. Once you've made the change, once you've decided this works, I'm going to keep doing it. This doesn't work, it's in the trash. Once you've made that conscious decision, then you can move on and really start to take on more advice that will ultimately change your life and allow you to reach the full potential that you know deep down you are worthy of.